Today's video is brought to you by StoryboardThat.com. Please visit TeacherCast.net/StoryboardThat for a limited time offer. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 84th TechEducator Podcast. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a great show in place. Today is the first day of Microsoft March. We're going to be featuring some great teams from Microsoft Education today. Before we get into all of that, we have some amazing things we want to share for you that's been happening over on our website, TeacherCast.net. This week, we launched a brand new podcast called Educational Podcasting Today. There's been a lot of people that are out there asking us questions about how do you podcast, how do you get into podcasting, how do I set up a website, and so we came up with this brand new show, Educational Podcasting Today, and we have all of the great hits. We have some great blog posts that are going to be coming out on how to podcast, how to do audio, how to do video, and we have a Wednesday release date. So we're going to be in iTunes as of Wednesday. We have one episode that hit already called 5 Simple Reasons to Start Your Own Podcast, and we've actually already created 3 episodes for you. Our first episode is going to be talking about something called International Podcasting Day, and our second episode is all about how to do podcasting on Windows using Audacity. Of course, all of our great resources here can be found over on our TechEducatorPodcast.com site, where you can find all 84 great podcasts, and of course, all of our archives are here on Show 84. Want to bring on my co-host for the night, Mr. David Saunders. David, how are you today? It is good to see you.
Thank you very much. I'm doing really well. I am enjoying, it was a busy week. I was applying for the ADE program, so my wife made for me some homemade Thin Mints, and I've been busy. I'm doing the Little Bits Invent Anything community program this month, and so I'm swimming in Little Bits over here. If you could just see the mess that I'm sitting in at my desk. It's been a really fun, very busy week for me, but it's great.
That is absolutely awesome, and good luck on Apple Distinguished Educator. I know I got my application in. People are asking for it. Did you decide to put everything up on YouTube? I know there's people that said, I'm going to post it whether I make it or not, or I'm going to post it after I make it and not What did you decide?
I put it up as soon as it was finished, and I felt like, okay, it's as good as it's going to get. I put it up on YouTube.
Nice. I will certainly be checking out for that, and certainly check out all David's great stuff. Want to bring on Mr. Chris Nesi. Chris, how was the House of EdTech today?
The House of EdTech is cold and slushy here in New Jersey.
You have some good episodes coming out. What episode are you up to these days on the House of EdTech podcast?
Last week I released episode number 30, and I talked with Stacy Lindis, who is a New Jersey technology specialist in West Windsor, Plainsboro. Before that, one of my conversations was with Tom Murray. I've also recently spoken with Sharon Plant. And we have a great slate of guests coming up here in March and into April. I'm very excited.
And we can, of course, find out everything over at?
Of course, chrisnesi.com is the home of the House of EdTech.
Absolutely. Check out that website. Fabulous colors. Very, very clean design. Mr. Jeff Herb, how are things over at Instructional Tech Talk?
Things are going well. I actually spent last week at the ICE conference and got to catch up with a lot of fantastic educators. Was able to see Jim Sill and Pernille Rip and Lucy Gray and all those Josh Stubenhorst, lots of great people at this conference. Actually got to catch up with Rashawn Richards as well. So really great group of people. We got some audio recorded for an upcoming podcast and a bunch of great blog posts that are slated to release here soon too. So good stuff.
And you just put out a blog post. What was it? The 5 things you need to do before going to the ICE conference. Was that? I think that's what the title was.
Yeah, a few days before going to the conference. This is my 8th year going to the ICE conference, and you learn something a little bit each year. And so to help some of the new people that are going to that conference, I threw out just some suggestions about ways to make the most out of it.
Also want to bring on the puppeteer himself, Mr. Sam Patterson. How are you today, Sam?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you doing?
Doing well. You have a new background there. Is everything okay out in California?
Everything's great. I did get notification that they weren't going to be doing the giant remodel in my makerspace that I was expecting. So now I'm trying to figure out how to make do with what we have. And I moved all of the computers away from the front podium over to the side. And we just recently got this 3D printer over here. And we have successfully printed one thing, which may have been the very first thing I found on Thingiverse that had the keyword puppet in it. And now I can't get it to work again. I love technology.
Technology is certainly great. Today we're talking all about technology, as we do here on the TechEducator Podcast, and we're specifically talking about presentations, things that you can do with your kids to really spice up the way that they learn. I want to bring on a good friend from the Microsoft Education team, Mr. Tim Richardson. Tim, how are you today? Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the TechEducator Podcast.
Hey Jeff, how are you? And hey everyone, thank you for having us on the show. It's we're doing great out here in Seattle. It's actually been a pretty nice weekend weather-wise in Seattle.
Nice.
Weather around about 60 degrees, 65 degrees, and sunny and warm. The cherry blossoms are blooming, so wonderful time.
Very, very cool. Tim, talk to us about presentations. We are trying to, as educators, expand the classroom, do some digital things, make our students capable and empower them to create amazing digital content. And you guys over at Microsoft Education have a solution for that. Talk to us a little bit about what Office Mix is.
Sure. So the thing about presentations in general is that everyone does them in some way or shape or form. Everyone, when you're speaking, you're always trying to either convey an idea or convince someone of something or give an impression. And so it's something that everyone does. Now, what we've seen in the education space is that 90% of educators use PowerPoint for their lessons. Back when I went to school, a lot of it was on whiteboards, but today it's PowerPoint. And what we've also seen is that about 90% of students use the media or the internet to research and do homework. And so when you put those two together, a solution that will allow you to both create learning environments using PowerPoint and also assess students using PowerPoint and online will be an aha moment. And that's all together coming into Office Mix, a fantastic solution for teachers that we're seeing a lot of teachers excited to use it.
It is that aha moment, I think, that we're all coming out for. I mean, we're switching away from pencils. We're switching away from paper. We're at that point where it is about capturing that student imagination. Tell us a little bit about the history. When did Office Mix start? How did it all happen? What was the genesis of it?
Sure. So Office Mix started over a year ago, actually a little bit longer than that, and it came out of Microsoft Research. So we have, Microsoft is one of the largest technology research organizations in the world, and we're looking into what is it that educators need to help out. And this idea of, well, educators are using, PowerPoint a lot, and then we're seeing this whole space happen with guys like Sal Khan, master educators creating content for others to use. And we thought it'd be really interesting to create a situation where the average person or the regular person can go ahead and create their own content that then can be reused again and again and again. So the history of that was you take that idea, what we ended up doing was building a small team here at Microsoft to productize that idea, and it ended up becoming a PowerPoint add-in. And that team worked around, around March or May of last year is when we released it. And since that time, we've seen a great uptake, and we'll continue to update the features.
And what are some of those things? You said it's an add-on for PowerPoint. So that means that a school district or a user has to, is it subscribe to Office 365? How does this work these days?
Right. So if you have PowerPoint 2013, which most teachers have access to, or if you don't, can get it for free at office.com if you're a teacher or a student, with certain circumstances around it, of course, then you can go ahead and download PowerPoint 13 and open it up and run it. And then what you can do is you can go to the officemix.com website and download Office Mix. When you install Office Mix, which is a free add for PowerPoint, totally free, you end up getting this new tab in the PowerPoint ribbon. And that allows you to do really cool things around your current presentations and lessons.
Would you be able to show us how that actually works?
Sure. I'd love to give you guys a test drive through.
So while he's getting that set up, Jeff, let me bring you in here as an administrator. Talk to us about that aha moment. I mean, you're dealing with students not on one grade, but on several grades. Do you get a chance to really see those aha moments happening?
I mean, as an administrator, it's a little bit more difficult. You're not in the classroom on a daily basis with the same group of kids. But what I always encourage teachers to do is to invite me into classrooms where they might be trying something new, or they're trying some additional technology, or know that it might be right on the breaking point where the students are going to get something, and this might be this like transformative time in their classroom. So I really appreciate it when the teachers invite me in to see these kind of things taking place, or even more so if they're going out on a limb and taking a risk to do something new in their classroom and they just need a little additional feedback. I hope to have developed that relationship where it's not evaluative and they have that opportunity to develop that relationship and see how things are working in their classroom. So, I kind of skirted your question a little bit, but I really feel like, yes, you have that opportunity to see the aha moments when these kids are understanding that there's different ways to present their learning. You just have to be able to be open to finding them. You can't just sit at your desk all day and assume that they're going to come to you. You really need to be present in your building.
So when we're looking at those aha moments, it really comes from the students. But it really is all about how do we get those aha moments. I mean, on our panel here, we have David and Sam, who are Google educators. David is trying out for ADE. Chris is also a fantastic educator that's doing some amazing things in and out of the classroom. I'm going to open this to everybody here, but how, as teachers, can we create those aha moments?
I'm going to start. I don't think that we have total control over creating those aha moments. I think we have the opportunity to give students the tools and the resources and some of the, I guess, pedagogical approaches to finding those aha moments. But I think a lot of it is trusting that if we give the students the tools they need and the direction to go, that finding their way of making it work for them, that's your aha moment. And I think you kind of have to take a step back sometimes and trust that if you've given them the stuff that they need to be successful, they're going to be successful. And so that's in my opinion your biggest aha moment.
Chris, what do you think? How are you seeing teachers out there provide that aha moment for students?
Well, to kind of piggyback off of what Mr. Herb just said, I think that a lot of teachers struggle with the taking a step back and waiting and giving kids the opportunity. A lot of teachers, I don't want to say they want to hold the hand or but teachers struggle with stepping back and letting the kids kind of drive the classroom. I'm still stuck on spoon fooding.
That's okay. Sam, let me bring you in here about the work that you're doing, because you are using digital technology in a way that I've never seen in conjunction with puppets. How can you and your puppets, which are, of course, non-technical, combine with the technical stuff to create those aha moments for students?
Well, it's really about letting them create an entire world. The great thing about having a tool like Waka is it allows students to kind of hide behind the puppet and take chances and maybe be a little silly or just try something that may or may not work. And when you can put that in a rich context, for example, if I'm using a green screen and I can build the information behind the puppet, then I can do some pretty interesting work. And some of my students build PowerPoint slides as the backgrounds that they use for the short movies they're making about what they learn. In fact, I won't say that I officially call it this because I don't know if it infringes on any existing copyrights, but I tend to refer to the process as puppet point, where you take a PowerPoint and you put a puppet in front of it and then you film the whole thing.
Well, let's figure out the best ways to do that right now. I want to bring up the screen here. Tim, tell us what we're looking for.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about what you guys are looking at right now is the Office Mix homepage, and I'll walk you through how you get Office Mix, install it, and download it. But let's take a step back for a second. Now, when I went to school, which is, I don't know, too long ago, we did this thing where I would struggle spending a lot of time listening to teachers as they, explain the material in the class, and I'd fiercely take notes, and then go back home and try to do the material. What we've seen is that approach works sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't. And there's this new experience out there called the flipped classroom, where we're seeing teachers use the class time for actually doing exercises and using the away time or the homework time for self-directed learning. Office Mix allows you to do that, and I'm going to show you how just right now. So here in the Office Mix website, what you'll see here is a couple of things. You'll see here we have the page for educators explaining how it works, but also what you'll see is the ability to go ahead and download the Office Mix add-in from officemix.com. If I click this button to get Office Mix, I'll then open up PowerPoint, and what I'll see here this new tab in the PowerPoint ribbon called the Mix tab. Can you guys see this just fine?
Absolutely.
Great. And so what we're going to do here now is we're going to create a lesson literally in just a few minutes about friction. And we're going to show how the teacher can use the class time or use the time at home for homework to teach the lesson, and students later on come back in class and actually do the work. So here I am, and what I can do is I can go over here. I'm going to create a flipped classroom in just a few minutes. I can go down and choose the slide recording view, and then within the slide recording view, I can choose that either. Let me see, make sure you guys can see this. I'll have here this window that allows me to choose my lesson. At the top, what I'll be able to show you is you can't see this, but there's a cockpit view that allows me to record Office Mix. You're also here on the right-hand side. I'll be able to choose whether to turn on my camera or not and show my camera screen. And so what I'll do really quickly is I'll just make a quick recording and say, hello, students. This is Mr. Richardson, 11 a.m. physics class, and we're going to talk today about friction, which is a force that makes moving objects tend to stop. Now, I just pause that for a second, and if I go out of that, what you'll see here is if I preview that recording, what you guys will see is you're going to see now the writing and the inking. You're going to see me speaking, and you'll see the writing synced to the sound of my voice, and the writing will come out right now. I'm going to stop that preview for a second, and then I'll go back down to close back and show you the rest of Office Mix. Now, I'm able to do several things in Office Mix. One is to do the screen recording, but secondly, if I'm building a lesson on physics, for instance, I can go in and insert a short video or short lesson from Khan Academy. Now, let's go ahead down here and choose over here to and find Sal Khan. Choose Khan Content. Choose to insert a Khan video. Let's go in and type in Newton. I can cancel out of that one and choose the right one. Let's see here. And scroll down and find the one on Newton's laws of motion. I've lost my keyboard, but so then I can just say I'll choose this one here, speed translation, insert that in as an example, and then on the next one, what I'm able to do is insert a certain quiz or a small quiz. So I'll go ahead and choose a multiple choice quiz, true or false, and say, hey, what force makes moving objects tend to stop? Jeff, do you remember?
No.
No, not at all. But it would be, I would get the option of either typing in, I could type in either friction, momentum, or inertia. And I've lost my keyboard over the computer, but I would be able to type those in and then basically ask in for the students, give the students an ability to ask in a question or answer my survey question or my quiz question. So I'm easily able to insert an assessment inside of my lesson. After that, I can go down and give a quick animation for a quick visual aid. So I'm just going to do this real quick, go back to slide recording view and say, hey, you know what here? Click record button. Students, we're now going to talk about friction again, which gives I'm going to apply a force to these three blocks, but you'll see that on the bottom block, because of friction, this bottom block moves much more slowly. And so what I've just done here is I've just used PowerPoint. There's nothing special here, right? I'll go ahead and click stop and get out of that. And what you'll see is this, it's just PowerPoint. I can move these slides around. I can create a lesson basically, very simply, that a teacher or a student can experience very easily just by creating this PowerPoint presentation. Furthermore, I can go in and do other things. I can add in a visual aid like a lab or simulation. For example, I'll choose one here. And I'll choose here the one around, one sec, around motion. And I can choose, let's see, where's the one I want? That one right there, forces in motion. Insert. And what you'll see here in a second is as I'm giving this visual aid or lab about Office Mix, choose friction, and I can play it in preview. And what my students will experience is they'll have the ability to take this robot, move it around on the screen. I can move it because there's friction, but if I put the fridge on top, for instance, reset the situation. much harder for the robot to move the screen, to move the block, reduce the friction friction, and then the robot can get the block moving a little bit more slowly. The last thing I'm able to do with Office Mix is insert in a quick web content. So I can choose here to choose. I want to insert some content from Wikipedia. Just use the web viewer. And then I'm able to insert in a web page about friction from Wikipedia itself. And what we've heard is that teachers really, really enjoy the ability to insert content or use content from all over the web for their students. Now, when I'm done, I've built this lesson, a lesson with a quiz, a lesson with extra credit, a lesson with a visual aid, animations, and inking, just like Khan Academy. I've been able to build that all really quickly in just a few minutes using just PowerPoint. I can then click the Upload to Mix button. The system crunches numbers for a little bit, does a little bit of preparation, and in just a few minutes, what it's going to do is upload this presentation up to the cloud. I'll go ahead and sign in. And what I'm now doing is I'm now putting this interactive online video up in the cloud for my students to access online for free. And in just a few seconds, you'll see that up there. I'll show that to you. And I'll show you what's really cool is that now any teacher can become a Khan Academy publisher, a Khan Academy professor. Any teacher just using PowerPoint can take their existing lesson, put it online, and have their students access it for free. Now here I am. I can change the permission settings, choose to share it different ways, and I can go ahead and publish this lesson, save that off. And there's something really interesting I want to show you, which is that now that I've got my lesson up there, if I choose to play it, and here's an online lesson that we created. I had part of this was my beginning of my presentation for you guys, and I'm able to quickly navigate through that. So here's what a student can see. The teacher publishes in PowerPoint or creates in PowerPoint. The student goes online to officemix.com with this URL and is able to choose and watch the lesson. And here the student, for instance, can start at the beginning, say with the they can start at the beginning with the introduction of friction. You see this very simple introduction. Again, you'll see the handwriting and the digital ink coming onto the screen. And this is all just being built with a regular computer, no fancy special equipment. No, if you have a touch screen, it works just fine. We have a video. We have a quiz. The animated visual aid. The simulation that's loading in a second. That the students can access and just play around with just fine. And then finally, they have the extra credit reading assignment. Now, this is all done for free, right? And so a student can just kind of go up there. The teacher creates, what we're seeing now is the ability for the teacher to create a situation where the student can learn the material at home and come in the class the next day. The teacher can understand which student, because we provide analytics on the back end, we provide for the teacher views of who has done the assignment, how well they've done in the different assessments. And then at that time, the teacher can say, hey, you know what? I want to focus on Tommy. He's got the material. He needs a little bit more help. Jenny understands the material just fine. That in a nutshell is Office Mix. I know I've just moved through a lot of time really quickly, but the bottom line is this: interactive online lessons made simple, just with the magic of PowerPoint, totally free for you as a teacher and for all your students.
You know, Tim, I love the fact that it does seem very, very easy for a teacher to put together here, and really, this is a way to gamify your classroom. This is a way to make things interactive. This is a way to keep kids completely going. Let me ask you a little bit about how this can be done in classrooms across the world here. Is this something that works well in a specific browser, or is this something that is works best with IE, or can this be done with we'll put it this way. If a student logs in using, say, a Chromebook, can they access the stuff that a teacher has uploaded on their Windows machine?
Absolutely, just fine. So we separate creation from consumption. For creation, the teacher has to have a Windows 7 or higher PC running PowerPoint 2013 And if they have that, they can download the free Office Mix add-in. For the students who are watching the material or watching the lesson, students can access that on their PC, on their Mac, or on their Chromebook. What's more interesting also is that we allow teachers to specify login. So the student, what you'll see here is I logged in with my Microsoft account, but a student can log in with any account that they wanted. They can log in with their Facebook account, their Google Plus account, their Hotmail account, or as part of their school's organization Office 365 account.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
How does it work on tablets?
If a student is watching the lesson, for right now, the interactions, we don't support the interactions on, say, your iPad or your Android device. But if you're watching in the browser on your PC, you can do the assessments and the interactions just fine.
Nice. There just seems to be so much stuff. I mean, we as educators talk about how bullet points are killing education these days. And through something like Office Mix, there's no need to make a bullet point.
No, not at all. So, I mean, with Office Mix, like what you can do is you see what you're able to see here is that, and I'm just showing you this visual display, just how visual my lessons can become. I just took a blank presentation or a blank lesson, inserted into it audio, video, digital handwriting, quizzes, and apps, all in just a few minutes, and made it very interactive, so much more engaging for my students. It's no longer just a kind of like a sample or simple bullet point slide. There's much more of imagination, creativity inside of it. And those aha moments that we were talking about earlier, much easier for students to get because they're getting the lesson from multiple different angles.
So a teacher is creating something in PowerPoint and uploading it. What is the cloud storage that you offer teachers, and what happens if we run out of space? Can we take it down? Is it just a normal presentation, or how does it work as far as, cloud storage?
Sure, absolutely. So one thing that's it's definitely important to keep in mind is that Office Mix is totally free to download, free to use, free to upload, and free to share. The lesson, there is a limit. We provide, like right now today, a limit of 500 megabytes for the lesson, which it's difficult to believe that you would take. It's basically there's no practical limit on a per lesson basis, and then across lessons as well, you can have as many lessons as you want to. So as a teacher, you could potentially create a lesson that's 500 megabytes or 499 megabytes long, and then create as many of those as you wanted.
Jeff, as an administrator, what do you think of all this?
Well, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's I'm looking at it from the scope of our district, and we are all very much Windows users in terms of what the teachers are using. All our teachers have Windows laptops, or I mean, not Windows laptops, but they were running Windows. And, they get kind of stuck in this idea that PowerPoint is the only way to present information. And I think it's phenomenal that we have now this tool to bring in this interactivity in a tool that I think teachers are inherently comfortable with. And so, I'm thrilled in the idea that I think it will get some of the teachers that are kind of scared to go outside the box and try tools that exist outside of PowerPoint, because I feel like that's what they've been lacking in their classrooms, and now they have Office Mix to be able to bring in this interactivity, and it looks like it's really easy to do too. So from a administrator or educator perspective, I'm very excited to see what this can do for some of the teachers that really need that bridge to get to that next level.
Jeff, what we've seen is that there's been a lot of the fact that 90% of teachers use PowerPoint has been was part of our motivations around this. We want to make it really easy and very accessible for just about anyone to use.
Sure.
And then what we've seen from both educators, school leaders, IT admins is that because it's Office, and because it's so familiar, it's easy to start using.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, it's something that we want to also, we talk about Chromebooks and Google Apps for Ed. Obviously, it's very important that we have students have that experience in there too. But I'm also glad to see that, using Microsoft, because there's a, good chance that students that are in our classrooms today will be using Microsoft projects when they go on to, corporate environments and whatnot, that they see that there are these options that exist to bring interactivity to their presentations by seeing their teachers doing it too. And so, I'm all for introducing multiple platforms to kids all the way through their schooling. I think that's very important. But I like that, Microsoft has created this new tool to be able to do that and have students be able to see what's possible while they're in the classroom as well.
It's great, Jeff and Tim, because you get teachers creating digital learning experiences, and they're able to take a tool they already understand and do the work that up until now has not been mainstream. But now that so many schools have one-to-one programs, more teachers are all the time trying to figure out how to make best use of that digital learning media. And this, really gives teachers an opportunity to use the tools they already know and understand and just expand the way those operate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Tim, you had mentioned the analytics on the back end for the teacher. Do you have any way to sort of show what that looks like, or what the interface looks like for the teachers?
You know what? Sure. So the let me see if I can switch back over for that for a second for you guys. See if I can do a quick screen share for you.
While Tim pulls that up, I just want to jump in and say, over the last 3 minutes, I have already downloaded this, installed it, and I'm looking at it. But what are we going to do about the teachers who can no longer have an excuse to just paste a whole paragraph onto their PowerPoint slides and read to the children?
We are going to replace them.
Let me know when you guys can see my. So here we are. Here we have here. What you're seeing here is my Office Mix deck that I just put up there. And as you can see, part of that was the lesson. Part of that was some additional material that we had here. Now, as an educator, what I'm able to do is insert in a certain quiz or insert in any number of quizzes. In those quizzes, what you can see is I can, as an educator, measure my students' response by slide. So I can see which of my students saw which parts of the material and how many students skipped over certain parts of the material. I can also go up to the top and choose by student and see if what I could be able to do is, if I put the data in here, is be able to see, hey, how each student has done in the different slides, and you see how many quizzes they got correct or incorrect. Finally, you can also see it on a per quiz basis. You'd be able to see, say, here's the example, here's the question. You will be able to see how well each student has done for a specific quiz. So overall, the nice idea of the flipped learning model is, hey, I'm able to provide both a learning exercise as well as an assessment exercise all in one package, coming in the morning and see not only who's done the homework, but how well they've done. And what you'll see over here in the top right-hand side is that this was updated 4 minutes ago. Our assessments are updated in real time. And one thing I wanted to mention is that there was a comment around, like students have Chromebooks nowadays, and I think that's really important. That is the reality of the world today, is that we have teachers or students across multiple devices, and it's really great to be able to have a solution that plays perfectly on Chromebooks or PCs or Macs.
So the view there that I'm looking at, was that by assignment? Can I look at a student view and see multiple or like all the assignments by student view, or is it only the students per assignment? Does that make sense?
Right. It would be you always see the lessons. We see the lessons on a per assignment basis. But what you're also able to do is download on a per assignment basis the Excel spreadsheet and get all the analytics and filter and pivot, to your heart's sees fit.
There's, of course, some great things that are going to be happening here with the Office Mix. We are so thankful to have Tim here. We're going to take a quick break, share with you some of the great things that are happening in your neck of the woods, and maybe how you can take advantage of some summer opportunities. More right back with Tim from Microsoft Education and the Office Mix team. Hey, educators, do you want to learn cool stuff this summer that you can bring back to your classroom, earn professional development hours, and get paid for doing it? Apply now at blackrocket.com/jobs. BlackRocket, a leader in children's technology programs, is hiring teachers and supervisors for its programs in New Jersey, New York, Maryland, and Virginia to teach their summer programs. No experience necessary, but an affinity for technology is preferred. Courses include video game design, app design, Minecraft, coding, robotics, filmmaking, and graphic design. Again, no experience is needed. All grades and content areas will be considered. Apply now at blackrocket.com/jobs.
National Podcast Day is September 30th. But what is National Podcast Day? It's pretty simple, and you can help spread the word. National Podcast Day is dedicated to promoting podcasting worldwide through public engagement. You may be asking, what can I do to get involved with National Podcast Day? It's easy. Head over to nationalpodcastday.com and check the suggestions. But ultimately, these options are endless. Remember, September 30th, nationalpodcastday.com, and let's start the conversation.
All right, we're back here with Tim from Microsoft Education. We're talking all about Office Mix, and I want to share with you guys how to find Office Mix. Let me bring up the website here. You can find Office Mix over at mix.office.com here, and there are just some amazing things out here on this website if you take a moment to breeze through it. We, of course, are going to be answering a lot of questions coming in from our chat, but all the way down here at the bottom, people were asking how easy is it to download, how easy is it to use and to export. There is a 6-minute, I believe it is, video called How to Make Your First Mix. I highly recommend that you guys take a look at that. Again, this is mix.office.com. And Tim, let me bring you back in here. 6 minutes. It shows you how to download it, how to install it, how to create it, how to use it. And before the break, we even had Chris say he was running it within 2 minutes. This is very easy to use, isn't it? One more, Tim, you're muted.
Super easy to use. If you can just download the add-in. And one sec, guys. Let me give you my screen share. There we go. Super easy to use, guys. If you just download the add-in, you're able to, right here at mix.office.com, there's a big green or big orange button for you to download the add-in. And once you do that, you're able to install the add-in on PowerPoint, and it opens up the Mix tab and the PowerPoint ribbon. You're able to get started, and really, it says 6 minutes, but you can really create a mix in 1 minute or less. Just take your existing PowerPoint deck, click a few buttons, and upload it up to officemix.com.
Guys, what do you think of all this? I mean, this is a way to absolutely, like you said, create a flipped learning classroom, to create something that's student-centered, to put together something in relatively short time and be able to share it with all of your classes and all of your educator friends and your PLN to share some amazing lessons. This is pretty cool, isn't it? Sam, what do you think?
Well, I really like the idea that you've got this kind of entry-level digital delivery of content. It's an important thing for teachers to be able to do. And the more democratic we make that process, the quicker teachers are going to get on board with that.
Tim, we have some questions coming in here. Does it have to be downloaded, or is this something that can be done, let's say, if you're not at your personal computer that you're using? Is this something that has to be on your native computer that you're at?
Sure. We definitely, to create a mix, you definitely have to be at the computer, at a PC with PowerPoint 2013. Once you're there, though, once you install the add-in, you can create in PowerPoint 2013, but then anybody can watch it basically with a web browser on any device.
Very, very nice. Let me get you. Why don't you get off of screen share there for a second here? We have a couple questions coming in. There's a lot of people here in the chat that are saying they don't have access at school. What are some of the ways that a school district can sign up to take advantage of either the free version, I believe you were mentioning, or become a part of the Office 365 membership package?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So if your school doesn't have, let me put it this way. A large majority of the school districts in the country have Office or access to Office through Office 365. Mm-hmm. What I would encourage every teacher to do is go to office.com, and over there's a link that says to get Office, and there's a link to be able to say, hey, are you a teacher? And if so, type in your school, and then we'll give you Office for free. So it's pretty easy for you to get Office for free if you're a teacher today. And once you get Office, you get PowerPoint, and then you can easily go and get that Office Mix add-in at officemix.com. In fact, I'll give you that link in just a second.
Nice. I know we have a few questions here, guys. Are you checking out the chat box here? There's a few questions I'm trying to scroll up here. What are you seeing people are talking about today?
Real quick, while questions are coming in, I recently, through a colleague of mine, downloaded Office 365, just like Tim just said, put in my school district email address, and was able to download the entire Office Suite 2013, the most current one. It gives you the ability to install on up to 5 machines, Windows or Mac. And so I am up and running current on 3 machines, just got the Office Mix. So I know I'm very excited to play with the Mix.
And Tim,
Great.
just to ask real quick, he said you can download it for Mac as well. Is Mix available for Mac, or is that just Windows?
No, today, in today's world, to create a mix, you have to have a Windows PC. But if
Okay.
you have a Mac, say running Parallels or
Yeah.
VMware Fusion or Boot Camp, then you can, of course, run Windows and Office on that.
Definitely Parallels, one of my best friends.
There is a rumor that Microsoft is coming out with a new Office for Mac. Do you know? I don't know if you can comment on it, but do you know anything about that? And if there is something coming up in the next 12 months or so, do you know if Office Mix is going to be made native for that Mac application?
Well, I mean, we've always been committed to Office on the Mac, right? Ever since we first came out with Office. In fact, I think the first version of Word was for the Mac, or Excel was for the Mac. Since then, I don't see. I mean, I think we're continued to stay committed to the Macintosh platform, and you'll always see great things coming out.
Nice. There's a couple questions here. How can somebody get in contact with you? What's your Twitter address? How can people get support for this if they're looking for information?
Sure. So you can contact me personally at timrich, TIMRICH, at Microsoft.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's Office Mix Team on Twitter.
Excellent.
I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I'd love to hear from you.
And of course, we're going to have all of our show notes up on our website, TechEducatorPodcast.com. This is episode number 84. We're going to have all their emails, all their Twitters, all their everything in there. So certainly check that out. Sam, let me bring you in here. Talk a little bit about pedagogy. I mean, we talk about PowerPoint not wanting to be traditional bullet points and teach, sage on a stage. What
Right.
ways do you think, as an elementary specialist, how can you use Office Mix with your students?
Well, as an elementary specialist, this could work really well if it were set up for, with hybrid learning in elementary students, you basically find ways for them to do things independently on a device with you in the room. So you're there to assist if they need help. So I could imagine this being a great way for teachers to be able to set up digital learning stations. So just like we have math stations that we go through rotations on, you could set up the instructions for those using this Office Mix. Instead of just having that handout that has all of the instructions on it, the teacher could make a short interactive video that actually gave the student the directions directly and then checked for understanding. And then as a teacher, I could check that live data back end and look and see if there's any kids in the room who are working at a station and don't understand what they're doing because they just failed the inline formative assessment.
And Sam brings up a good point here, Tim. Traditionally with PowerPoint, you have exporting options. You can export it to a movie, I believe. You can export it as handout slides. Let's say that I was creating something in Office Mix, but it wasn't for a classroom. It was for a workshop. Can I do all this and then package it up natively so I can be in front of a large group and take advantage of all those great nifty options that you were sharing?
Right. So Office Mix has several output options. One of them is the ability to export to just regular video, right? And so you can create a video that you could put into your YouTube site or whatever you wanted to do. Secondly, of course, is the primary output vehicle is OfficeMix.com, and that's where you get the interactive, online assessments and everything like that. The third thing, though, is that we have the ability, if your school has an LMS with SCORM, you can export this out as a SCORM package to be used in your learning management system. And of course, those three different environments, they're just all options for you to use for what's best for you. What we've seen is that what we've seen a lot of educators do is use Office Mix as a way to get more time in the classroom, to spend more time with their students, get all of the kind of the self-directed reading and self-directed learning. Let the students do that so that when they come in the classroom, use that time for the more difficult material. And we've seen educators have great success and enthusiasm about that scenario.
How are we doing on the questions, guys? Anything as far as let's see. There are a lot of questions coming in here on the chat box as far as how to get it, how to use it. A couple of people have said that they've been using it really well. A lot of people here have been saying that they're using it in their grad course, which is really, really neat.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jeff, while you're looking for additional questions,
sure.
Something I definitely want to bring up, and it's just something to keep in the back of our minds. I feel that the people that are watching this show or will download and listen to it later are not the people that this is focused at, my upcoming comment. But we need to make sure that we continually teach people how to use this. The people that are listening right now are going to find it, learn how to use it, and are likely also the people that have found comparable tools in the past. And I feel just we need to have a good professional development plan to be able to teach our teachers that this exists and how to use it. And so, just keep that in the back of your minds as you're going back to your buildings tomorrow or as you're planning future PD. Don't expect to be able to say, hey, Office Mix is here, go use it. Because the same teachers that haven't used these kind of resources in the past will be just as intimidated by it. It is easy, and I think people will be able to pick it up very quickly because it does use a tool that they're very familiar with. But I think that it doesn't mean that we can just say, go download Office Mix and you'll be fine. I do think that it's really important that we provide that professional development and one-on-one, one-on-a-few training to make sure that they're comfortable using the new tool.
I think that's a really good point. I think the interest on faculty is there. They want to create more compelling content for their students. They want to bring this new technology in. I'm getting lots of questions on things like, how do I import video? How can I share things? We're using Educator, or are we using these other tools to help bring in multimedia into our presentations and share them via the cloud and all these great things. And so we've got there are options after options after options. And this looks like a great option for lots of faculty in our school. But I think it's a really good point to say, rather than here's another option for you that you could use to meet this need, but to step back and say, what is the most effective way to provide the foundational training so that you can approach this in a successful way?
Tim, we have a few questions coming up here in the chat. And the biggest question here is there a way for students to be able to create using Office Mix?
Absolutely. That's the Office Mix add-in works for anyone who has PowerPoint today. So if you're a student with PowerPoint on your computer, easily just the same kind of thing. And what we've actually seen is we've seen teachers assign that the homework assignment is to go and create a mix, to come back and to create a small lesson to teach the rest of the class. So any student, any teacher, any person with PowerPoint 2013 and Office Mix add-in can create a mix just fine.
If you're going to the website, which is, again, mix.office.com, in the middle here, you actually have, let me see if I can bring it up, you have a button that shows off other Office Mixes that people have used. And so if you're out there saying, well, where do I start? How do I start with this stuff? Here's one that was just on Peter and the Wolf, and let me see if I can hit the play button. Well, it is playing right now. But you can see here, this is something that somebody else has done. Microsoft has said, this is an amazing, amazing thing. Let me put it up on their website. And I don't have the sound going right now, but this is a really, really neat presentation, Office Mix, if you will, of Peter and the Wolf. And I'm sure some amazing teacher or student created this. If you're looking for inspiration, mix.office.com is a great place to go. What else can we find here on the website as far as visuals or help tutorials or ways that we can get started with this, Tim?
Sure. And so one raises a question about PD on this. On the website for certain, there's definitely the add-in to download and install. There's a lot of materials for tutorials on how to get started creating your first mix. There's a lot of you just showed a lot of example mixes that you can watch to get inspired to create your own. What you'll also see if you go to mix.office.com is you'll see at the very top a link called the gallery, and in the gallery is basically our catalog or library of mixes that other people or other educators have created. And you'll see hundreds of them, right? Literally hundreds of them that you can watch and install, watch and get your own kind of inspiration on what to do. One other thing I meant to mention is that about when it comes to Office Mix is that you can, if the publisher chooses to, you can download the presentation, the full PowerPoint presentation on its own, take that out, slice and dice it the way you want, effectively remix it yourself and create your own presentation. So the same way, imagine if Khan Academy were to publish each one of its lectures as something that you could take and then re-edit. That's what we've done with Office Mix. So you can download an existing lesson, open it up yourself in PowerPoint, edit it the way you want, and then customize it for you and your students.
What do you actually get when you download that? Is it the actual the .pptx? Is that the extension?
Yeah, you get the source file, the .pptx file, the file that's used to upload back to OfficeMix.com. So if you've got PowerPoint, you can take this file, open it up, and do whatever you want with it. It's just like having a PowerPoint. It's as simple as basically adding another slide to your slide deck.
And so the content creator gets to choose whether or not to make their content publicly available, for viewing, and then also available for remixing, as it were.
That's right. That's right. The content creator gets to choose when they choose how public or private the lesson is. They can make the lesson totally public, and then click a button saying allow others to download the lesson to be reused. And you publish that under a Creative Commons license, so it's totally free for everyone.
What about classrooms that want to set something up collaboratively? Can two students work on this under the same account, or how would a classroom create an office mix?
Well, if a classroom wanted to collaborate on an office mix, collaborate on publishing, the way to do that is through PowerPoint Online. So if everyone has Office 365, they can all log in and collaboratively edit the PowerPoint, and then one person or a few people can log in with actually load in the PowerPoint application and edit it that way too. But what's more interesting, I think, than the collaboration creation experience is when everyone separately goes off and does their own thing. So imagine a teacher assigns a homework assignment, build me your presentation, your book report, and everyone comes back in with a different online presentation about the book that they read. That's really the really interesting scenario that we wanted to enable very simply with Office Mix today.
Tim, before we get out of here, I want to first of all say thank you for joining us today. We, of course, are celebrating Microsoft March all month here, and Tim was our guinea pig to go on the show first. Talk to us a little bit about Microsoft Education. Where can we find information about it? What does Microsoft Education do? And how are schools taking advantage of it?
Yes, Microsoft Education, I think we've always been there, but I think within the past year or so, you've seen some really cool things happen within the company and to make a big impact for educators and make life easier and more productive. One of those is certainly Office Mix, which basically makes it so that anyone can create a flipped classroom without learning special tools or equipment. Another one that you'll be hearing about soon is the OneNote Class Notebook Creator, making it very easy for teachers and students to collaborate on notes and share those around. If you want to learn more about Microsoft and Education, just go to microsoft.com/education, and you'll see a lot of our products and a lot of our materials there for your usage. Also, what I would also encourage every educator to do is go to educatornetwork.com. Again, that's educatornetwork.com. There you'll see a community that's over 1.4 million people worldwide, over 200,000 in the United States, working together to learn different ways of educating, sharing resources and materials, and you'll see a lot of great materials there for you. So I'd highly encourage everyone to check that site out. Fantastic resource.
We have it up here on the screen, and it certainly seems like there's a ton of information here. This is Education Network.
Educatornetwork.com.
Excellent. Of course, we'll have that over here in our show notes over on TechEducatorPodcast.com. Wow. Tim, thank you so much for your time. I love your energy. My goodness, it's contagious. If you're out there watching, please join us all month here. Next Sunday, March 8th, we have the Microsoft Sway team. On March 14th, we are actually going to be talking a little bit about Microsoft. I believe that's the week that we're having... Sorry, Sunday, March 15th, that's when we have the Microsoft Office 365 team coming on. And then Sunday, March 22nd, that's when we have Microsoft OneNote coming on. And on the 29th, I'm really, really excited because we have the Surface team coming up. So we have an entire month here of Office and Microsoft Education. Let me ask you one more question. Speaking of Surface, Tim, how does OneNote work on a touchscreen environment if you do have a touchscreen PC?
Oh, I mean, I think that is the ideal situation, right? Like if you have a touchscreen PC, or you can just even use a simple stylus like this one. Here's what we've seen. Here's what the research shows us very clearly. The mere act of writing something down helps you to learn the material. So I often take notes with a pen on my computer, even if I never look at the notes again, because the mere act of writing it down somehow cements it further into my brain. With OneNote and the pen and say a Surface device, it's an absolutely magical experience for capturing information, for sharing that around, and I'd highly encourage anyone to check it out anywhere they want to.
Very, very cool. Guys, what do you think about this? This is the first show for Microsoft March, and I tell you, I learned something completely new today and a tool that I certainly want to be trying out with my students.
Yep, me too, for sure.
I'm already downloaded. I'm ready to go. When we're done here, I'm going to be playing with it.
You better share it with us.
I think we have a new topic on the next House of EdTech there, Chris.
I think it's going to be a recommendation, 100%.
Very cool. Tim, one more time, where can we find out more information about the great work that you're doing with Microsoft, and how do we reach out to Microsoft Education?
Definitely go to mix.office.com. Again, that's mix.office.com to find out about the Office Mix add-in. If you want to learn about Microsoft and education, go to microsoft.com/education. Sorry, microsoft.com/education. And if you want to join the Educator Network, which again, 1.4 million people worldwide, just go to educatornetwork.com. And I'd love to, I'm going to go over now. I'd love to answer a few more questions. I'll jump on the link. And if you want to email me directly, it's timrich@microsoft.com. Again, that's TIMRICH@microsoft.com. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Excellent. And if you have any questions, Tim will be over here on our chat box at TeacherCast.tv answering questions. We have a very, very busy chat box, and it is very, very contagious. Jeff, talk to us a little bit about what's happening this week on Instructional Tech Talk.
Like I was saying earlier, we just have some recaps coming out from the ICE conference last week, and we'll be releasing a podcast that has some of the audio clips that we were able to snag during that conference, put them together, and we'll release that this upcoming week.
Fantastic. Chris, how about the House of EdTech?
Next episode, number 31, comes out this coming Sunday. I'm going to be speaking with Katrina Keene, who is a fantastic tech integrator and tech consultant from Tennessee. Had a great conversation with her. Looking forward to sharing that out next week.
Fantastic. David, how much sleep are you going to be losing between now and when we find out about the ADE applications?
Probably quite a bit. This week I'm going to be building a humidity sensor with my new Little Bit space kit, and I'm going to Ed Camp, Southwest Connecticut next weekend.
Fantastic. Sam, you just came from a conference. Talk to us a little bit about where you were yesterday and what's going to be happening this week on mypaperlessclassroom.com.
Well, yesterday I was at the ETC conference at CSU Stanislaus. Next weekend I am at the Silicon Valley Q conference. Last week I think we put out 5 posts on My Paperless Classroom, a lot of it focusing on programming in 5th grade and doing some stuff in 4th grade. They're writing a history simulation game a la Oregon Trail. Fun fact, did you guys know Oregon Trail is 40 years old?
Wow, no.
I did not know that.
Yeah. It turns out it came out the year I was born. I was like, wow, that's some old tech. But now you can grab an embeddable version and put it on your blog and make your kids play it and ask them what dysentery means.
What does dysentery mean?
Make them play it.
Dysentery means death on the Oregon Trail, I'll tell you that.
We will be having a show all about dysentery on the Oregon Trail coming up soon on the Tech Educator Podcast.
Hashtag dysentery chat.
Excellent. That will be edited out. Okay. I think we got everybody. Guys, one more time, please head on over to TeacherCast.net. There are some amazing things happening. Of course, all of our archives for this show can be found on Tech Educator Podcast. Check out our brand new show that's going to be launching this Wednesday called Educational Podcasting Today. I got to tell you, there's already enough people saying some cool things about our album art. I want to give a big shout out to the House of EdTech. Chris Nesi has done an amazing job with all the graphic work, but Chris, you have gone above and beyond for this. These graphics look really, really cool. So thank you so much, my friend, for putting this together.
It was my pleasure, and I'm very excited about the art, and I'm actually more excited about the content you're going to be doing with the show.
If you are an educational podcaster, we want to hear from you. My goal for every show is to have about a 10-minute or so interview with an educational podcast or podcaster and feature you as an educational podcast. We've got some great shows coming up on WordPress and on making podcasts. If you are interested in learning everything that there is about how to do this stuff, please sign up for our newsletter. On the right side of every single page, you can download our new EPUB, 100 resources that'll supercharge your classroom. All you have to do is sign up for our newsletter. There's, of course, some other great things happening on here, and we will talk about that all next week.